Hi, I'm Hannah Hamlin, and I am a physician and a diabetes educator. And today I'm going to talk about life with type 1 diabetes from a perspective point of view. I just got done recording a podcast where we talked about life in general and what we've learned from the different challenges through medicine or through a diagnosis and growing up with type 1 diabetes. And we really got to talk about this perspective that we get to choose around our perception of medicine and our practice of it, or our perception of living with a chronic disease. And I think that that's something it's so easy to forget. It's straightforward that we get to choose what we think. We get to choose if we look at the fact that it's raining outside, or we look at the fact that we love the way the rain sounds on the roof. We can look at these positive or negative pieces and really see life from different perspectives. But with type 1 diabetes, what I've learned is that if we're able to look at the silver lining, try to find positive pieces from what we've learned since we got diagnosed, or what diabetes has taught us in general about life, then we're able to find gratitude in the experience. Doesn't mean we have to like it all. We can accept it all. We don't have to love it all, but we can appreciate parts of it. And that acceptance plus appreciation of parts of it can create this energy that feels a lot better around it. When we're thinking about diabetes, it's so common in society for us to tell someone else and then for them to feel sorry for us in one form or another. And that's hard. I think if we live our lives taking that mindset on and feeling sorry for ourselves, then we can create a situation where we're not really able to see all the good that is happening. So I'm going to list some of the positive perspectives that I choose to believe and to think and to feel about my life with type 1 diabetes, just to give you some insight on what that could look like. And after watching this video, I encourage you to think, say out loud, write down, the positive aspects that you can find, because it really does start to shift your perspective on living with this chronic disease. So where I would start with my gratitude around type 1 diabetes is looking at all the things I have learned. I was diagnosed at age 13. Right now I'm 32. So I've had diabetes for quite a while, and it has taught me so much about my own health. I feel that because I have type 1 diabetes, I took time to learn what type of nutrition plan works for me that keeps me at a healthy place with my blood sugars and my BMI, and is going to set me up for a lower risk of cardiovascular disease in the future than if I hadn't found a diet that worked for me. And so I feel grateful that diabetes pushed me to learn about nutrition in a way that feels good. I love the food that I eat. I love my relationship with food now. But if I hadn't had the challenges of trying to figure it out, or having problems with it, with blood sugar control, or really wanting to get it right, then I probably wouldn't have gotten to a place where I have such a good relationship with it, where I have such a good understanding of what works for me and what doesn't, where I really have the knowledge to understand what types of foods are going to set me up for success long term. So I'm really grateful for that challenge, because I'm now in a place where I feel like I'm going to have this solid understanding for the rest of my life, and it's going to set me up for success long term. I feel that same sentiment about exercise and movement. I don't know if exercise would have been a huge priority for me if I didn't have type 1 diabetes, and saw every day that I did it on my glucose monitor how much a difference it can make to my body on the inside. I think we can feel exercise. It feels good. If we go on a run, we feel better. If we lift weights, we feel good in our body. But really seeing the numbers on a continuous glucose monitor is profound. It's so clear to me that exercise is good for me, and learning what types work, what types don't overexhaust me, what types are good for my muscle mass, or good for, me in general. All of that, I think, came from the push of wanting to learn to be healthy and take care of my body with type 1 diabetes. The other thing is persistence. I think I say this all the time. If I could have quit diabetes, I would have 100 times. I would have quit it in a heartbeat. There were times where it was so hard to figure out and I was so frustrated. I would have absolutely quit it, but you can't. And to some extent, that's unfortunate. But to another extent, it's really helpful in teaching diligence and getting back up when things are hard and understanding that you can fail and try and try and try again and then finally get it. I think that the diligence that type 1 diabetes has taught me in life helps me get through medical school when things were hard and I wanted to quit. It helped me get through a lot of really hard times, was just this understanding that you can have something that's a big challenge and just really, really work at it and fail a whole lot and then figure it out and it'd be okay and it'd be good. So I think that it's taught me this ability to persevere in hard times that I don't know if I would have had without it. I also think that diabetes has given me some type of bravery in social settings. If you have type 1 diabetes, you are going to be different than your peers or your friend group because of that. And you're going to have to do things a little differently, whether it's step out before a meal to give yourself an injection or, pull out your insulin pump in the middle of a conversation. There are all these things we have to do that make us different. And somehow the process of learning to accept myself being different in a group setting and really love myself for that and know that it's okay that I'm different. I am whole and complete and good and enough, even though I'm different, gave me permission to be different in other areas too. Felt like if I was in a group and let's say everybody was, talking about a topic that I felt very differently on, I felt like it made it easier for me to say, hey, actually, I think doing it this way might be a great option too. Where maybe I wouldn't have said that before. Of course, all of this is hypothetical because I don't know what my life would be like without type 1 diabetes. But I do feel like the practice of being different allows you to be more of who you are. And if type 1 diabetes has allowed me to show up more of who I am in this life, that's a really beautiful gift. And I think too that diabetes teaches you, if you let it, to accept yourself. And that was something that was hard for me for many years after diagnosis, but learning to love and accept yourself with diabetes makes it easy to learn and love to accept yourself with a pimple on your forehead, or learn to love to accept yourself when you fail that test, or all these things that have happened to me. It kind of is grounding in the sense that some things aren't a big deal because diabetes is a pretty big deal. So it's created this sense of self-love and self-forgiveness because of my learning to figure out how to live with it in a way that feels good. And I don't know if I would have had that otherwise as well. So I have many more reasons that I'm grateful for life with diabetes. And sometimes it's just little things in the moment that are more specific to that day and not these overarching, morals that I can extract. And I learned for myself that no one was going to teach me how to feel good with type 1 diabetes. Not my doctor, not my friends, not my family. They could try. They could give me insight and they could give me great reflections or ideas, but no one's going to teach you how to feel good with diabetes. You have to figure it out for yourself. It is completely an internal journey. And no one can do it for you. No one can teach you. You have to figure it out. And it comes with tearing down limiting beliefs, really figuring out what beliefs you have about yourself that aren't true, like you're broken because you have type 1 diabetes, or no one's going to love you because you have type 1 diabetes, or you can't be healthy, or you're going to lose your feet when you grow up. There are so many limiting beliefs that we get from our own assumptions or what society tells us that just aren't true, at all, that we have to tear down. And that was how I got to where I am today, where I feel really good about my life with it, is I had to learn to believe differently in the beliefs that I had that were hurting me. And that actually came from a lot of work of writing down those beliefs that were hurting me. Just saying, this is what I'm feeling and thinking, and this isn't feeling good. And then trying to figure out how I could see it differently and asking, how can I see this differently? And then learning from other people who had figured out how to feel good, but I had to take that on myself. So that's the perspective piece of type 1 diabetes, is that I had to learn how to feel good about it on my own. And when I did, everything got easier. Everything got easier. The lows got easier. The highs got easier. Because if I'm low, and I hate the fact that I have type 1 diabetes, that I'm going to say, oh, it's so unfair that I'm low. I didn't do anything wrong, or I didn't see this one coming, or I should or shouldn't have done this or that. And it feels so sorry for myself. And there's a place for that. There's a place for grief, and there's a place for processing those feelings. But if every time I was low, I felt sorry for myself, then I would live a life where I felt sorry for myself pretty frequently, right? Because lows happen. Same thing with highs. I mean, it's just, if you can love and accept the fact that you have it, then a low just means I need to grab a snack. It doesn't mean anything else, you know? And sure, we can grow and say, okay, I also learned that maybe that pasta didn't have as many carbs as I thought, right? Take the lesson, and that's important too. But it doesn't mean anything about who I am as a person. And that's the key, is separating who you are as a person from the fact that you have type 1 diabetes, and then being able to live in a space where you know who you are and you accept your diabetes, and you can make it work for you in a way that feels good. But it starts inside. So I hope this was helpful. I so wish that I had had more people having these types of conversations out loud when I was young, as a teenage girl trying to figure out type 1 diabetes, and I so craved that. And so my intention with this video is to start talking about ways that we can see it differently, ways that we can have the control over feeling good, because we can't always control preventing lows, but we can always control our reaction to them and what we make it mean about ourselves. And I very much have the intention of creating more videos in alignment with this, and that's what this channel is for. So if you are interested in subscribing, that would mean a whole lot to me. It's going to help you find these videos, and it's going to help other people see them. I also have on my website, in the comments section or the information section, a link where you can sign up to be on a wait list to be a part of group conversations like this, where we get together in small groups to have these conversations out loud and really process things together. And then I also have a book called Type 1 Diabetes Mindset Reset that's available on Amazon. There's an ebook available as well, and that is a DIY version of tearing down limiting beliefs that could be a good fit if you're not ready to talk about these things out loud yet. Making an intention yourself to try and find more of the good with type 1 diabetes is enough to start seeing things differently and start feeling things differently. So I hope that for you. Thanks so much for sticking to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next time.